Hello and welcome. I'm Adele Gauthier, Research Manager at Breast Cancer Foundation NZ. And tonight we're talking about hair loss during breast cancer treatment. First, a little bit of housekeeping. I encourage you to make the most of the chat box. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a task bar or status bar. If you can't see it, you might have to move your cursor down to that area to make it appear. On that bar, you'll see a chat icon. Click on that to open the chat box. If you have any technical issues, you can type details of your problem there and our support team will be in touch. You can also use the chat box during the webinar to ask questions, which we'll get to later, and you can chat to other people there. Don't worry about missing out on information while you're chatting. The webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website tomorrow. You should be able to see whoever's speaking in a small box on your screen. There are some size bars just above that you can choose if you want to make it bigger or smaller. So tonight we're talking about hair loss during treatment, particularly chemotherapy, for breast cancer. We're talking about how to get through that in a way that works for you, because we know that for many, many women it's one of the most distressing things about having breast cancer. And when we've talked about dealing with hair loss, we'll also talk a little bit about scalp cooling, which can help prevent hair loss in the first place. So our three panellists tonight, we have Natasha, who's a former patient who's had breast cancer, Catherine, one of our nurses, and Suzanne, who supplies wigs and headgear. I'll tell you a bit more about each of them, but first let me introduce Natasha. She was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 41 and really went through the works with the added bonus of losing your hair. Natasha, tell us your journey and how you got to looking as fabulous as you do today.
Thank
I'll
you.
give you that.
Hi, my name's Natasha, and I was diagnosed at the age of 41 with HER2 positive breast cancer, Valentine's Day to be exact, in 2017. I have two beautiful kids who were 7 and 10 at the time, and my husband and our dog. My pain was picked up by a really terrible pain. I got one day lying in bed, and it was enough for me to just go, what was that? And managed to find a lump and sort of pondered on it a bit more and thought, oh, you know, boobs are lumpy, you know, my period's due, and you know, how would I ever get cancer? I had no family history whatsoever. But I followed my instinct and went and saw the GP, who then sent me off to a mammogram the next day, which quickly led to biopsy and ultrasound. 2 weeks later, I was having surgery, and then I had 20 weeks of chemo, 3 weeks of radiation, 13 weeks of Herceptin Perjeta. And I decided not to do a reconstruction at the time, which turned out to be a good idea because I had a few issues. But finally got my new boob in November last year, so that was really exciting. Losing my hair was one of my top 3 worries of going into this journey. You know, your hair can really define who you are and how you look, even if you're not a hair person, which I really wasn't. But I would never have cut my hair short at this stage of my life, so losing my hair altogether was really quite scary. Losing my eyebrows was also really hard for me. You know, they definitely define your shape of your face, and they can really make you look sick when you don't have any. They were the last thing to go, which was good. And I started chemo in April, and by July they'd gone. And by October, I'd had enough that had come back. They were really fair. But I went and got them hennaed, which is like a natural dye, and it was absolutely life-changing. It really made a difference because you can't tattoo and feathering when you're going through treatment. So, but yeah, it made a huge difference. Before I started everything, I decided to go, and my hair was just below my shoulders, so I decided that I would go and get my hair cut a couple of times to just help with the anxiety around losing my hair. I mean, I hated getting my hair cut, so this was really playing with me. But I really do think it helped. The hairdresser was amazing and just sort of helped you go into it. I was told to try and go to the wig shop before you started treatment if it was possible, just to go in there and help and colour match or see what kind of style you liked, which was really good. And I took a friend with me, and we sort of made it a fun thing, and we had lunch and you know, we tried on some fun wigs, and that was all good, but it was really helpful. I didn't end up actually wearing my wig that I got. I felt way more comfortable just wearing beanies and scarves. I wasn't working, so maybe if I'd been working, it would have been a bit different. But, you know, everyone is so different, and you won't know how you feel about what you want to wear until you're actually in that part of your journey. So it's just about feeling comfortable. I mean, I tried a lot of times, but beanie was my go-to. They say your hair falls out 14 days pretty much after your first chemo treatment, and I remember thinking, that's ridiculous, how can it fall out that fast? And that was pretty much to the dime. I remember having a shower one morning and washing my hair, and big clumps started coming off of my hands. So I hopped out of the shower and grabbed my daughter's hairbrush and thought, I'm going to start brushing my hair because it's the last time I can for a while, and I loved my hair being brushed. And I decided to get my family involved in helping cut my hair short, especially for my daughter, because she'd already seen me lose a boob, so losing my hair was quite big for her. Shaving it was a little bit less scary for me, I think, because I'd already dealt with the fact that I'd cut it short, and my son and my dad shaved their hair too, so that was pretty cool. As I didn't wear a wig, I became obsessed with finding the perfect beanie, and most of that was online, and I did become obsessed. I ended up with 12 different beanies, so many different styles and shapes and colours, but it was really good. Summer got a little bit hot for beanies, so I became obsessed with sun hats, and they fit really differently when you don't have hair, so it's finding the right one. And I actually ended up wearing a lot of kids' sun hats because they just fitted a lot better for me. And just remember to look after your neck, because your neck gets quite sunburnt if you don't have it covered. And I just wore scarves if I went to a dinner or a function that I had to go to. It just made it a little bit more dressy. So I lost my hair in the Easter, which was April, and by September it had started growing back, and I had probably like a number 1 all over, but I just didn't have the confidence to rock it, but a lot of people do. By Christmas of that year, I felt my hair was long enough, I didn't have to wear a beanie, so that was really great, especially for summer. Top tips for losing your hair and going in and trying to make everything just that little bit better. Try and go to a wig shop if you can, and make a day of it with your girlfriends or girlfriend or your mum. I definitely recommend trying to get a haircut or a couple of haircuts before you go in, so it helps with the anxiety around losing your hair. Get a nighttime beanie, and because at nighttime your hair can get quite sore, because it's quite prickly and catches on the pillow, so wearing a nighttime beanie was really helpful. And just remember to wear what makes you feel comfortable. It's not about what anybody else thinks, it's about how you feel, and if you feel more comfortable wearing a wig, you feel more comfortable wearing a beanie or a scarf, you just need to go ahead and do what's right for you. Good luck. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Natasha. That's fine. Thank you for sharing that with us, and I know that people out there will have really appreciated it. Don't forget, you guys at home, to write your questions in the chat box, and we'll come to those a bit later. Now we're going to hear from Nurse Catherine Terry, who works here at Breast Cancer Foundation. Catherine has worked as an oncology nurse, where she has talked with plenty of women going through the various stages of hair loss. And these days you might catch her on the end of our 0800 number if you phone into our Breast Cancer Foundation nurses. Catherine, give us the medical rundown on hair loss and your thoughts on how to deal with it from your experience of talking to women going through this.
Yeah, so basically jumping straight into it, most chemo medications will make you lose your hair. Not all, but most of them will, especially if you're having treatment for early breast cancer. Hormone treatments can cause some hair thinning, but you won't normally lose all of your hair. If you're having radiotherapy for your chest for early breast cancer, You shouldn't lose your hair with that treatment, but if you have metastatic breast cancer and you're having whole brain radiotherapy for a brain met, then you are likely to lose your hair with that. Chemo basically targets all fast-growing cells, so that's where your hair loss comes from, because the inside of your hair follicle, especially in the bulb at the base of the hair follicle, that's particularly affected, and so there's cells in there that make up the hair shaft itself, and when those are interrupted, that's what causes your hair loss. So your oncology nurse or specialist will talk to you about the potential for your treatment to cause hair loss or thinning, and this does normally happen about 14 days after treatment starts. You might notice your hairbrush is particularly full, extra hair on your pillow in the mornings, and more hair falling out in the shower, and sometimes it can come out quite dramatically and you can get those clumps coming out. You can also lose hair from all over your body. So we know that your hair loss isn't just emotional, it isn't just physical, sorry, it's also quite emotional for a lot of people. So having long hair can be part of some people's personal identity, particularly social, cultural or religious, and it can affect your body image and your self-esteem. Once you lose your hair, your cancer becomes quite visible to other people, and a lot of people worry about being asked questions about their cancer. So I know women who, so say one woman, she had a sales job, and she knew that losing her hair, her customers at work are going to ask her about her diagnosis, and that wasn't particularly something she wanted to share with those people. She wanted her job to be professional, and she felt that she would be almost judged for that. Some people may also feel guilt about feeling sad for your hair loss. And so it's okay to feel sad or angry about your hair loss and that this is happening to you. There's a perception that because chemotherapy and these treatments have much more severe side effects that you should be focusing on that, but for a lot of people, hair loss is really significant. So when you're losing your hair, you might be helpful to involve your children, like Natasha did with her kids, with the process of losing your hair and even shaving. Try to find small ways to feel more confident in your own appearance. This could be something as small as wearing a nice lipstick, or I don't know, or finding headwear that just really suits your lifestyle. Your relationships are really important, so it is important to communicate with your partner, and it might be helpful to talk to others who have experienced hair loss as well. So you might like to join a support group or an online community, but also take the opportunity when you're in the chemo room. There's often other women there who have had breast cancer or other treatments for cancer, and that can be a great opportunity to talk to other people. People often ask about when to shave your head, and it's completely personal. Some people feel more in control to shave before chemo, and others feel that they're not ready to do that at the start of their chemo or at the start of their treatment, and that they want to hold on to their hair for as long as possible. Either is fine. If you want to hold on to your hair for as long as possible, people sometimes wonder in that journey when they should shave their hair, and I often tell people that you'll almost know when you're ready to shave. You'll get to a point where you know it's the right time. Do talk to your hairdresser, especially if you have a good relationship with a particular hairdresser. So they're often happy to do the shave for you. I know hairdressers who have come out into people's own homes, and sometimes they'll do it for free as well. And you may like to grow gradually shorter before treatment. Just be careful not to shave too close, because there is something called folliculitis, which is a hair follicle infection. which you can get if you go too close to the head, especially if you're having chemo and you're a little bit more at risk of infection. It is likely that you will lose your eyebrows and eyelashes. You can manage your eyebrow loss with makeup, and there are some long-lasting options available. So there are some products that last up to 3 days, and they can help to just maintain the natural shape of your eyebrows. So if you go to fill them in the next day with, say, a pencil, you have that natural shape already there. And some people get microblading, so you're not able to get microblading or tattooing of your eyebrows during treatment, but if you want to consider it before treatment, you can do. Eyelashes are protective, so your eyes might become more dry or watery, so you may need to discuss with your oncology team or pharmacist if you can use some eye drops if you have irritation. And there is something called bimatoprost eye drops, and this medication was initially used to treat glaucoma, which is a condition of the eye, but a side effect that they noticed is that it makes your eyelashes grow faster and darker. So it won't prevent your eyelashes from falling out, but after you've finished treatment, it can help them to regrow a little bit faster. It's only available on prescription, but if you are able to get it on prescription, it's not too expensive at about $20. When you're caring for your scalp after your hair has fallen out, it can be really itchy, tingly and sore while it's falling out. And as with chemotherapy, you get really dry skin everywhere. So just try not to scratch and gently massage your head with moisturizer. So do keep your head moisturized, although it will be a strange feeling to be adding moisturizer to your head. And just use gentle body washes and shampoos. Your scalp isn't used to being exposed to the outside elements. So if you are going out, and winter's not such a big issue, but if it's summertime and you're going outside, wear a hat and sunscreen. And you might feel the cold more than usual, so you might need an extra scarf when you go out. So scalp cooling is used to prevent hair loss. It's used during chemotherapy. It's basically a cold hat that you wear during your treatment, and you need to put it on before treatment, have it worn during treatment, and even after treatment for a short time. And it narrows the blood vessels beneath the skin, which reduces the amount of chemo that reaches your hair follicles, so it slows down the growth. There are 2 types of scalp cooling technology that you can use. There's one called Paxman, and this is a machine. It's been medically studied. It basically temperature controls a fluid that runs into the cap, as you can see in the photo. So some studies were done that showed that 2/3 of women kept their hair and didn't need a wig with these machines. They're available in Nelson, Rotorua, and some private clinics. Because you need to wear it before and after your chemo, it will extend your time that you need to be at the clinic for. And these cold caps are sort of like DIY version of the Paxman machines. They're not clinically studied, but some people have had really good results with these. There's a bunch of different brands available. They're a little bit costly at $90 to $130. And for some of them, they've got ice packs inside of them, and you'll need to buy more than one so that they last you the whole of treatment, depending how long the treatment's for. But you will need to order it from overseas, so they need to have a little bit of time to come into the country. Your hair will grow back approximately 6 weeks after your final treatment. For a very small amount of people, unfortunately, they do have prolonged or permanent hair loss. But this is, again, a very small percentage. Taking care of your new hair. So hair growth may grow back a different colour or a different texture. You may have heard of chemo curls, where the hair grows back really curly. This is not to say that you're going to turn into a redhead overnight, but it may grow back darker if you're blonde, or if you were going grey before your treatment, I'm sorry to say you may grow back salt and pepper, or you may your hair may grow back grey. Doesn't always grow back evenly, so sometimes it may grow back a little bit patchy, and it's okay to just continue wearing your wig or headwear until you feel confident. And it's okay to dye your hair, but do wait until you have strong regrowth there. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Catherine. Our last speaker is Suzanne Walton. Suzanne is from Jessica's Wigs and Beauty Salon, and she specialises in helping people who are going through cancer treatments with their wigs and headgear. Suzanne, what are the options for people, and how do they choose?
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. So yes, I'm Suzanne. I'm the owner of Jessica's Wig Salon, and we're based in Grey Lynn in Auckland. What to know about wigs? I'd say the most important thing to bear in mind is that try, if you can, not to buy a wig online. There's two reasons for this. One is that wigs come in different sizes, and it's really important that we get you the right size. And secondly, if you buy a wig from a photograph, quite often you'll have a different face shape from the model. So you can't necessarily be sure that the wig that you like is actually going to suit you. So I appreciate sometimes it's difficult to get to a wig shop, but there are options like video consultations as well. And we actually find those quite successful with clients that don't live locally. So for people who are going through chemo, we recommend wigs made from synthetic fibres. A couple of reasons for that. You're only going to be wearing the wig for a short time, so generally speaking from 6 to 12 months. And synthetic wigs hold their style much better than human hair wigs. So I've got Hedda, my friend Hedda here, wearing one of our wigs. This is synthetic fibre. It's very, very you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between this and real hair. And the other reason that we recommend synthetic wigs is when you wash them, they hold their style much better than human hair wigs. So when you wash this wig, it will come back to the style that it was when you bought it. And synthetic wigs are also a lot less expensive than human hair wigs. And so you should be able to get a synthetic wig for around the amount of your Ministry of Health grant. Of course, there are some more expensive options, but there are options there if cost is an issue for you. So your wig needs to fit well, obviously. You don't want your wig moving around. And so it's important that you buy the right size. Now, you can make a wig looser or tighter because there's some Velcro at the back here, but that's just for a small size adjustment. So provided you've got the right size, your wig shouldn't move around. And the more you wear the wig, the more comfortable it will get because the construction of the inside will mold to the shape of your head. And finally, one question I always get asked is, will my wig blow off in the wind? And the answer is absolutely not if you've got the right size. If you really want to go mountain climbing in your wig, you can buy a product called It Stays, which is a body adhesive, which you can stick the front of your wig on with. But I can assure you that none of my customers have said their wig blew off. Anyway, so you can even buy stick-on eyebrows. So if you do lose your eyebrows, we sell eyebrow wigs, and you can also get those online. They're incredibly authentic. They look absolutely real, and they're a great option if you do lose your eyebrows. So, fit, style, and colour. Don't worry about your wig looking wiggy. If we do our job right, then you will have a wig that looks exactly like you, and people won't be able to tell it's a wig. Our wigs are quite different from the ones you buy at Look Sharp and the fancy dress stores. Of course, we can do that if you want. But it's important, though, that you make sure when you buy a wig, your head is measured during your appointment. I can't stress that enough. If you buy a wig that's the wrong size, it's either going to be too tight or it's going to move around. So try and make sure they measure your head. if you come in before you lose your hair, that's really helpful, because we can quite often look at you as you come in and think, this lady is a paradox wig in a GL68 colour, and we just know because we've been doing it long enough. But don't worry if you've lost your hair. If you come in with a photo of you as you like your hair to look, we'll be able to match that up as well. So if we do our job right, you will have a style of wig that you love, and the colour will be fairly simple because the wigs all come in a number of different colours. So we'll be able to find you something that you love. Right. So we do, and a lot of the other wig providers do, a range of headwear. One of the things that that we've talked about, and Natasha talked about, is getting a headwear for wearing at night. So one of our most popular beanies, I'm going to take Heather's hair off now. I'm going to put on what we call our softy cap. And this softy cap is made of bamboo cotton. And it's incredibly soft, and it's cool in summer and warm in winter. And it's a perfect type of hat to sleep in because it doesn't have too many seams. When you're asleep, the last thing you want is something at the back of your head sort of bumping sort of backwards and forwards. These come in all sorts of colours. I bought the pink one today because we're doing the Breast Cancer Foundation, but you can get blacks, blues, navies, all sorts of patterns. They're really popular, and you know, if I was going to recommend any hat, it would be a softy cap like this. You can use your Ministry of Health wig subsidy for headwear as well. So if you don't want to buy a wig and you do want to spend your subsidy on headwear, that's fine. How do you care for your wig?
Suzanne, we were just going to stop and get you to do a little demo of the of putting the wig on.
Oh yes, sure. Okay. So you want me to show you to put a wig on?
Yep.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to get a different wig here now. This is a lace front wig that we have. As you can see, the front of the wig, if you look closely, has a piece of very, very fine lace at the front. And so if you don't wear a fringe, this is the type of wig that you should buy. When you put the wig on, you start with it low down on your forehead, and you pull the wig back so that it's in the nape of your neck. And then on the edges of the wig, there are two little tabs which help you position the wig either side of your ears. And when you've got those in the right place, then is the time to adjust the front. And I have to come around the front here just to do that. And so there we go. That's in the right place now. And if you haven't got your hair, the way to tell where your hairline is that it should be between 3 and 4 fingers from the nape of from the end of your nose. Okay, so Heather's hair is on there, and then we just comb the hair. They're very, very robust, so you can comb them, and then you shouldn't be able to see the hairline at the front. You can see that lace front is really, really invisible there. So Heather's got her hair on. Now, there are we have usually about 400 wigs in stock at any one time, and so we should be able to find you something that's going to be right for you. And they come in all different sorts of lengths and styles. So I'm just showing you the short ones today because we're on a table. But if you want long hair, we have long hair down to sort of 18 to 20 inches. So that's how you put a wig on. So just going back. I'm going to put the headwear back on now for a second. There we go. So when you're washing your wig, you treat your wig like an item of delicate clothing. Okay, it's not. You don't treat it like hair. So what you do when you wash a wig is it's really important that you wash it in cold water, and the colder the better. Because if you wash your wig in hot water, it might lose its style, okay? And the other thing is that you shouldn't use any heat styling tools on your wig, or like hair straighteners or curling irons or blow dryers. They come styled, so they should always go back to that when you wash them. You can use any shampoo you like, but the important thing is to use a special wig conditioner. And we will give you information on how to look after your wig and keep it looking amazing. Okay. moving forward, I'm having a bit of technology issues here. Well, I'll just, here we are. So final thing I want to talk about is the wig and headwear subsidy. So most people are going to be eligible for a subsidy from the Ministry of Health, and you can use that subsidy to buy wigs or headwear. This is $408.88 over a 1-year period. It's very easy to deal with that grant. If you go to a supplier like Jessica's or another Ministry of Health supplier, we can process your Ministry of Health claim on your behalf, and all you need is to fill in a couple of forms, and we do the rest for you. So that's how the wigs work. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Suzanne. It was very helpful and very interesting to have the demo going as well there. Now, before we move on to the questions and answers, we're just going to look at some support information. I'm just going to try and adjust our picture there so that we're not looking at a blank space. Great. So there are some places you can go for more information or for some help with getting adjusting to hair loss and making the most of your looks and how you want to feel during this time. Look Good, Feel Better is a charity that many of you will have heard of, I'm sure, and they provide training and makeup and styling and so on. They'll help you look your best. Your local wig provider, as we've already heard, your hairdresser, as Catherine said, can be very helpful. If you're interested in scalp cooling, on our website we do have a tip sheet. It's mainly designed for the people using the Paxman systems, but it does give some good advice about how long you need to cool your scalp for before and after chemo, and also about making that time when actually your head is pretty jolly cold for a couple of hours, how to make that a little more tolerable. Support groups and online communities. If you haven't joined our online community, MyBC, we'll put up a link to that later. And we do also provide counselling, and hair loss might be one thing that really helps to talk to a counsellor about. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our questions and answers. We do have a few questions in the chat box here, so we will just pull up some of those and we'll pass them out to the panellists. Julia, could you maybe unshare the screen so that people can see the panel while we're doing questions? Thank you. Okay, let me just have a look here at what we've got. Okay, so a question from someone who was having chemo during COVID-19. This one's to you, Catherine. Okay. Her chemo stopped during COVID. Then her hair started to go back, and then she started up her chemo again. So she's had 4 chemo treatments, and with that second lot after the COVID break, her hair hasn't fallen out yet. She has 3 weeks left of chemo. Do you think that hair is going to stay put?
So if she's already started back on chemo and it hasn't fallen out, there's no guarantee that it's not going to fall out from here. But I guess you're extremely lucky that it hasn't fallen out again. So it may not. It also depends what kind of chemo you're having. You haven't stated what type you're having, but some chemo is harsher on the hair follicles than others.
Great, well, here's hoping on that one. Does Natasha, someone's just acknowledged the lovely photos that you put up in your presentation and said thank you for sharing those, and they really were lovely, so thank you. Does your hair always come back in time, and is it the chemo curl or darken colour? We've probably covered that, but do you just want to recap in case that person missed that?
So is it
does your hair eventually come back?
So unfortunately, not always. There is a very small, like less than 1% of people who have prolonged hair loss or not full regrowth, so their hair doesn't grow back to the full thickness that it used to be, or they may have some spots that don't grow very well. But most people about six weeks after they've finished their last treatment, they start to get a bit of soft regrowth, and it often does start off as either a short prickliness or like a really soft downy very fine, soft down, like baby hairs. And that's sort of how it starts, and then it gets thicker from there. And most people find that after 3 to 6 months, they have a good amount of regrowth.
Great. Okay, and now a question about wigs for older women. Can you give us any thoughts on?
Yeah.
Does it make a difference how old you are?
It does make a difference. We have wigs for all ages. With older women, you often find that your hair gets thinner over time, and so the wigs we have a range of wigs that are also have a little bit less hair in them for ladies who are older, but we have all sorts of colours in the greys and sort of platinum blondes as well. So you're not going to have a problem finding a style and a colour that suits you.
Great, thank you. Now a question about eyelash implants. Can I get eyelash implants?
So it depends what you talk about implants. Are you talking about?
That's the question.
Yeah. It depends what you mean by implants. I know that they can do false eyelashes, but because you don't have your natural eyelashes there, they don't last as long. So because it's attached to the eyelid, they last for a very short amount of time compared to what they would normally. But you can get false eyelashes. And there was a trust in Auckland called Petal Trust who was doing it for some time, but I'm not sure that they're still running it. But they used to have a particular procedure where they were able to attach it to the eyelid.
I had that done with Petal, and it was great. But there's also Revitalash and Lilash, which is really good to stimulate the your eyelashes, and you can use it on your eyebrows as well. And I definitely think that made a difference. I think it's just it's really good.
Great, thank you. Right, here's someone who said, I found it difficult finding fashionable headscarves, and this lady recommends a company KAUS, K-A-U-S, KAUS hats. Do you know those? Yeah. Did you find those good? Yeah.
They had lots of different variety, and just styles and colours, and I didn't suit all of the colours and styles, so it is finding the right one for you. And you do probably spend a little bit more money finding the right one, but you'll know when you find the right one. But they were good.
And Suzanne, you have kind of different styles, not just the beanie style.
That's right. We have about 6 or 7 different styles and many different colours and patterns in there. But headwear is a particularly personal thing, so you really sort of want to have a look at as many places as you can.
And microblading after treatment, is that okay?
I think the preference is at least 6 weeks after treatment, but it's best to always just check with your oncologist or your oncology nurses before you go ahead with it. So you'll want your immune system to have recovered before you have microblading.
Right, and that's good advice, thank you. And here's someone who said that her hairdresser advised a number 3 shave so that the hair wasn't too prickly at night on the pillow.
I have heard that that if you shave close, that it can be a little bit prickly on the back of the pillow if you shave before you start your chemo.
Oh, okay, so that would be particularly if you're starting.
I think particularly if you shave while you've got hair. Right. If you shave it to a prickly length, it can be a little bit uncomfortable at night.
Great. Now here's a question. It's been 2 years since my chemo and radiation treatment, and I'm finding my hair is thinning, perhaps due to hormone medication. Does collagen help strengthen the hair, or do I need to check with a breast nurse or oncologist?
I've not heard of collagen helping to strengthen the hair, and I'm not sure of the research if there is any evidence to support it. Obviously, with a lot of supplements, there may not be any research there, but if it's something that you want to try, talk to your oncologist about it.
Great, and we've got, hopefully we've got your email address here when you, or maybe when you exit the webinar, you could leave your email address and we'll just have a quick look at the research that there is and come back to you on that by email in the next couple of days. Thank you. Now, someone wants to know the name of the Bimatoprost, is that right? Bimatoprost gel. So I'll just spell that quickly. Bimatoprost, Bimatoprost gel for, that was the glaucoma medication that had the fortunate side effect for some people of growing thick lashes. And
your oncologist can prescribe that for you. Talk to your oncologist about it.
Great. And do you need to pay for that then when it's prescribed?
Not through the not through your oncologist.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
And I think your GP would be able to prescribe that for you too. So yeah, and hopefully, great if that's no cost. But if you did have to pay, it's not super expensive either. And did you use that?
I was given some Lilash, so I used that. But I had that the was on the sideline waiting to go.
Great. Does hair grow back okay during Herceptin?
So Herceptin shouldn't affect your hair growth, and so it should grow back while you're on Herceptin. Yes,
it did for me. Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Okay.
So it was good. It kind of it still grew back while I was still having the last bits of chemo as well. So that was quite exciting. But yeah, I didn't fall out once. It started growing back. It didn't fall out again. In Herceptin and Pageta, I didn't notice any slowing down or anything like that. So that was good.
Great.
Didn't seem to affect it.
No.
Great. Now a question about a website for stick-on eyebrows. Did we mention a site, or you sell?
Yeah, so we sell a range of stick-on eyebrows, but there if you go into Google and you search eyebrow wigs, you will find a range of eyebrow products that are designed for ladies who have who lose their eyebrows, and they're incredibly realistic looking. So go and look for eyebrow wigs, and you'll find some very interesting things there.
Great, thank you. Can you get another grant from the Ministry of Health if your cancer comes back and you need a new wig?
Yes, you can. Yeah. So your Ministry of Health grant for temporary hair loss lasts for a year, and so if you have more treatment, you get another certificate from your oncologist, and that will give you another $408 for another 12-month period.
Great, thank you. Let's see how are we going here? Oh, here's one. My eyebrows are growing back, sticking out, and halfway through their growth. Will they sit flat, or are they likely to stay like this?
It's likely that they'll keep growing out. So it's likely that they're just short and that they'll keep growing out.
Sticking out.
Yeah, and will eventually sit flat. But of course, no one can predict the future.
I'm a redhead. Will my colour come back? Are there some colours more or less likely to change, do you think?
I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure about redheads in particular, but I just do know that often you'll go darker rather than lighter. So if you're blonde, you may come back a little bit browner, or if you're lighter brown, you may come back a little bit darker brown. But also I know that sometimes over time, as it grows out, you do return to your normal colour as well. So it just really depends. Yeah,
right.
Because when mine first came back, it came back a lot darker, and then it lightened off, which was good. So yeah, so it can change from when it starts to when you've got a bit longer hair.
Great. Now, Susanna, shout out from you, someone who says, I purchased my wig from Suzanne. She was absolutely outstanding, takes enormous care to ensure that you get a wig that's absolutely right for you. So
thank you very much. I'm pleased you're pleased.
Yeah. Great. Now, advice on the best shampoo or hair care during chemo. Are scalps more sensitive? Are allergies more prevalent? Maybe have you got any thoughts on that, Natasha?
I didn't use a specific shampoo. I didn't wash my hair with shampoo. I probably only did it once or maybe twice a week because when you don't have any hair there, there's kind of not too much point, but it was just nice having some water running over your hair. And it's obviously, you don't need a lot when your hair's grown back anyway. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't personally condition it when it's that small. I just don't. It's over and done with pretty quickly when you're washing really, really short hair. But it's just nice to, to even massage. I used some rosehip oil when my head was itchy and a bit sore, just to massage it through. It actually felt quite nice and gave it a bit of relief, and more so than shampooing it.
Great. Catherine, any thoughts on allergies and scalps and things like that? Sensitive scalps?
I haven't known anyone to have more allergies during their chemo, but yeah, again, it's just taking care of your scalp and keeping it moisturised.
Okay, great. And another recommendation on headscarf supply, the Bravery Co. has amazing headscarves and donates 10% to cancer research. Very nice. Thank you for that. And now someone has shared, she has said LOL, so she is telling us an amusing story. Her eyelashes were so long using Bimatopros, the gel we were talking about, she had to cut them. Which would be excellent. A nice problem to have compared to the problem of no eyelashes, I guess. So, yeah. She was also advised to put some of that on her eyebrows, the Bimatopros as well.
Yes,
right?
you can also use it on your eyebrows.
Yeah, great. Okay, great. Thank you. Lots of nice thanks and comments from people there. We'll just wrap up in a couple of minutes, so if anyone has any questions that they haven't got around to asking, now is the time to put that up there. Just one or two more. What are the advantages of claiming the hair subsidy myself rather than through the wig shop, and how easy is that to do?
I'll answer that if you like. So if you go to a wig supplier that's got a Ministry of Health contract, they will reclaim the subsidy. So you just basically can pay any cost difference between the cost of the wig and the subsidy, and that supplier does the rest. If you do want to claim it back yourself, you can, but there's just a little bit more paperwork for you to do. Also, just one thing to mention is you can use your wig subsidy at different places. So you can buy a wig from one place and a hat from another, because all of your records are then held by the Ministry of Health. So I can't think of any particular reason why you would want to claim it yourself, but you can do that.
Catherine, do you have any view from feedback from patients?
It is very easy to let the wig shop do it for you. It's very straightforward and very painless when you're a little bit anxious about the whole thing. So it just takes a little bit of extra pressure off you trying to juggle appointments or get things ready, and they're very, very, very helpful.
And did you spend the whole subsidy in one place?
Yes. Yeah.
Which I imagine is very easy to do.
It is with a wig.
Yeah. Okay. Now, a question about men with breast cancer. Presumably they lose their hair in exactly the same way. What about getting wigs for men? Do you find that's a thing?
Yeah, we do a range of wigs for men. We tend not to do as many wigs for men as we do for women, because a lot of men are comfortable not having hair. But there are specially made wigs for men that we have. Great.
Okay, thank you. And another one, Susanna, best shampoo for wigs?
Well, that's an interesting question. We say that you can use any shampoo that you like, provided it's a mild shampoo. The most important thing and the best trick that we found at Jessica's is actually not in the shampoo, but in the second rinse, you add a capful of fabric softener. And that makes such a difference to the way the wig looks and feels. It removes any tangles and things like that. So using fabric softener in the second rinse, and then using a proper wig conditioner right at the end is much more important than the type of shampoo you use. So fabric softener and wig conditioner.
Okay, great. Thank you. Right. I think that is all our questions. So perhaps if we swapped back up to the screen share. Great. Great, thank you. Okay, so we're just going to wrap up now. Thank you so much to all of you out there for joining us, and thank you to our 3 panellists. You've all been really fantastic, and I'm sure that's been extremely valuable for our watchers. If you have any questions or concerns, whether it's about hair loss or other aspects of breast cancer, please do call our nurses during working hours. The number is there on the screen. And as we mentioned before, we also have an online community, MyBC, where you can connect with other people who are going through the same issues as you. And we just have one last very quick question. How often should you wash your wig, Suzanne?
Oh, okay. So if you're wearing your wig every day, you probably want to wash your wig once every 2 to 3 weeks. And if you don't wear your wig every day, you just scale down the frequency of washing as you see fit. But you'll know when your wig needs to be washed, because it's a little bit like clothing. You know when your clothes need to be washed. So every 3 weeks as a general rule, but you'll know.
Great. Okay, we'll pop back out of there and into wrapping up our webinar. So in the next few days, we'll send you a recording of the webinar if you'd like to watch it again or recommend it to somebody else. And as you leave the webinar, you will have a little exit survey pop up. And if you wouldn't mind taking just 1 minute to fill in a couple of questions for us, we'd really appreciate that. That's it from us. We hope to see you again next time. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Bye. Thank you.